Having surpassed 1,000 completed anime, it's time to review my old favorites and find out what holds up. I'm Sacrabolic, your envoy of hope, and this is Anime Favorite Search. Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel 1 Presage Flower is an adaptation of the third and final Fate Stay Night route, titularly named Heaven's Feel route, which is the route focusing on second best girl Sakura. I have absolutely no idea what the fuck the title of this means. I don't know what a presage flower is. The movie very clearly expects you to have already had experience with Fate Stay Night, because it completely glosses over in a sort of cinematic sort of credit sequence the entire opening where Shinji gets hunted down and killed by Lancer and then revived by Rin, and then it just appears at the church so that they can speak to Kitsugaya. So it's clearly look, you already know what's happening. Let's just fucking move on with this. It also is the route that shows off the true assassin, because it was mentioned in Unlimited Blade Works that the assassin of Sasaki Kojiro, who was summoned by Caster, isn't the actual assassin, and it really does leave up the question in all of the previous ones where actual assassin is. Turns out, here he is. He's a big character now, and he's seemingly unfucking stoppable because he manages to take out fake assassin. He takes out Caster. He takes out Lancer. He takes out Caster's boyfriend, who is presumably getting buffed by Caster at the same time, which is fucking nuts. He 1v1 Saber and does surprisingly good. And then in some baffling scene at the end, he gets absolutely shit stomped by Ryder, which does not make sense to me. I do not know how that fucking happened, because at the opening of the movie, Saber just takes out Ryder just offhandedly, very easy, probably easier than she's ever taken out Ryder in any of the previous routes. And then Ryder seemingly just disappears. Maybe she faked dying. Who fucking knows? But I don't know what's going on with that. But then she appears and all of a sudden she's super strong and she just fucking completely bodies Assassin. Could just be that because they mentioned that Assassin was leading on the previous heroic spirits, that maybe the movie's just not doing a very good job of showing that maybe Ryder was able to beat him because she took him off guard, and maybe the movie's just very bad at portraying that. But there are a lot of questions about what's going on, and a big thing about Assassin is chances are he might not have even won, but he seems to be luring enemy servants to this thing that is called, I believe it was the Imaginary Void or some shit like that, which seems to have the ability to corrupt servants and bring out their inner darkness, which happens to Saber at the end and seemingly removes her from Shiro's control. I'm going a bit off speculation because I genuinely don't know what the fuck is happening, as this movie seems to be bringing up more questions than it answers, which makes sense as it is, of course, the first in a trilogy of movies. That said, unlike the other ufotable Fate Stay Night adaptations, this one actually bothers to explore its goddamn characters. A good chunk of this movie, a good first half of this, is getting to know Shiro and Sakura and their relationship together, which is something I was fucking starved for in their Unlimited Blade Works adaptation. Which is insane that they're doing a better job of getting the relationship of the characters together in a goddamn 2-hour movie than they did in 12 episodes of a fucking anime, but I digress. I have to say that there are, of course, another variation of the characters' personalities, although this one is actually kind of interesting because the characters are a sort of mixture of their Unlimited Blade Works and original Fate Stay Night route personalities, where Shiro is a lot more upbeat, he's a lot more cheerful, and unlike the just complete emo version of him that you see in Unlimited Blade Works, but he does have some of his emo Unlimited Blade Works edge sometimes, but it's sort of an on and off switch, and honestly, this might be one of my more favorite personalities that we see with Shiro, where you can see that the darkness is in there, but he manages to put on a sort of almost cheerful facade, and I think it's a bit more of a complex characterization than we've seen in probably either of the other adaptions. Of course, Sakura, we get a little bit more onto her. The original anime mostly just explored her as a sort of like good girl housewife type, but we do see that there's some darkness that she's struggling with as related to her family, especially because we know that her grandpa or some shit, I don't know, some old Mato guy, seems to be set up as the primary antagonist. That said, this is still an adaptation of Fate Stay Night, and I imagine it has the same writing level as all of the others because it's an adaptation at the end of the day. And I did see that in the sneak preview for the next movie that Gilgamesh is going to show up. In fact, he's already shown up, so this is the earliest introduction we've ever had of Gilgamesh having a fucking talking line in the history of the series. So I just cannot wait for all of this build-up to come to nothing and Gilgamesh to become an antagonist that's pulled directly out of the creator's asshole again. But in the meantime, this first movie was pretty damn good. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrobolic, your envoy of hope. Bye-bye.